must have been at about 40,000 feet when it happened. In an air pocket.
What's the deal? What's the deal, YouTube? Shout out to everybody who repeatedly tune in to your boy. I really do appreciate you. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend and bring them all in. Because I need that. I need that. Listen, I, like a lot of other people, I can't wait the year and a half for season 4 of From to come out. Like, I want to know the answers to some of the mysteries, and I want some more people to die. But in the meantime, I decided to go back and watch Lost. It's something that I ain't watched in almost 20 years, and to be honest, when it was out, I wasn't that dedicated. You know what I'm talking about? I'm a heavy sci-fi fan and things like that. But just in that time and place, I went hard in the Lost. So some things I remember, some I don't. Like, for instance, for some reason, I always thought Locke was a bad guy. And now that I finished Lost all the way, like, I understand why I thought that. It's because I was coming in and out. But I see him different. Matter of fact, I want to do this little video or review on Lost, and I want to just look at some of the cast and just say a few words of the first things that come to mind after I watch it, because the show is... There's a lot of character growth in this show, but every character is incredibly flawed. And I like that about the show. I think a lot of people can identify with that. But yeah, I'm gonna go off top. We got my boy Hugo Reyes, the big dude, the fat boy. You know what I'm talking about? Now, Hugo thought he was crazy. Now, he is kind of crazy, maybe a little crazy, maybe a lot of bit of crazy. But one thing he can do is he can see and hear dead people. You know, when his friends pass on, they come back and talk to him. And that's probably why Hugo is a little bit crazy, a little bit thrown off. But brother did win a lotto and thought it was a curse. He really got low self-esteem. That's my only real knock. That and the fact that he was stranded on this island for all this time, and my nigga ain't never lose no weight. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, man, then we got my boy Jack Shepherd. You know what? This is how I feel about Jack. Jack is supposed to be the all-American hero. You know, the Captain America type dude. Me personally, if I'm stuck on the island, I'm not listening to a nigga that's a surgeon, a nigga that's a doctor, unless somebody's hurt and they need to be healed. I'm listening to the nigga that know how to hunt, a nigga that know how to make a fire, a nigga that know how to build a tent. You know what I'm talking about? I'm listening to that. I'm not listening to him. No limit soldiers out here in these streets. You hear me? Anyway, man, they built Jack up and then tore Jack down and made us hate Jack. But they tore him down so much that I never really liked Jack again. That even when he redeemed himself and became the savior at the end, nigga, I didn't give a damn about Jack. You know what I'm talking about? Then we got my boy James Sawyer. I didn't top 5 with James Sawyer a lot because I push people way too. I come up with nicknames for everybody. I do a lot of them. I'm just not a con man. I'm just not a sleazebag, but I get it. James saw his mother and his father die as a kid, and the man who was the reason why that happened, he took that man's name and became a con artist just like that man, just to hunt that man down and do that. Now, this ain't got nothing to do with nothing, but I remember this dude stole my girl from me at one point in time, and after that, every time I talked to a woman that I really didn't want, that I planned on being a sleazebag with, I always use his name. Don't sue me. I mean, I can't be sued, but I'm just saying. Then we got Kate. Kate was supposed to be the shero at the beginning of the show. She was this kick butt woman that came through that was supposed to be this cute, not a damsel in distress. You know what I'm saying? This hottie that Jack and James was just both in love with. And I think around about season 4, we all ended up hating Kate. Kate was a killer. Kate was a killer that didn't make no sense. First of all, she blew up her stepdaddy because he was beating on the mama. And the mama still in love with the stepdaddy, so the mama told on her. And then she went on a run and she decided that she wanted to holler at her ex-boyfriend, and she got him killed, and then she killed 2 more people to get the... Let me leave Kate alone. Kate was a mess. Then we got my boy Saeed. Saeed was a gangster. Even though he's really Indian, they made him play a Iraqi interrogator on this show, but he was basically like a ninja. You know what I'm talking about? Like, he was whooping tail all through the show. Then we got my boy Jinsu Hwan. The show got a lot of character development. I said this in the beginning. Jinsu Hwan was this husband who was real strict with his wife. Didn't let her do much of nothing. Didn't let her get out of sight. She couldn't even show too much skin. He didn't even know his wife could really speak English. He felt so dumb. I'll tell you, everybody in this show is very complex. You know what I'm saying? They are very flawed characters. I'm going to get to that. Then we got my boy Charlie. Charlie was on dope. Charlie was on dog food. Charlie was on heroin. On that heroin. He was addicted. But he was a rock star. And he fell in love with somebody's baby mama on the show. We all fall in love with people's baby mama at some point in time. I mean, most of us do. Unless you married somebody in high school, but they be having babies too. Hey, shout out to Charlie though, man. Then we got my boy Boone. Ain't Boone the same nigga from Vampire Diaries? I'm thinking that's the brother from Vampire Diaries. I don't know. It's something in the eyes. I might be wrong. You know what I'm talking about? Then we got Ben Limas, the nigga that be lying. That nigga's a lying nigga. Anytime you send Benny Lamas, he is lying. Nigga don't give a damn about lying, and he's a part of the group. He's the leader of the others. And them niggas still babies. And all of them be lying too. And if you ask them a question, they can't never give you a direct answer. It's always gonna be do this first, follow this, or do this, and then I tell you. And then they never tell you. Or if they do tell you, them niggas be lying. Just like Ben Limas. Nigga's a sleaze bag. He redeemed himself at the end, though. You know what I'm talking about? Then we got Shannon. I ain't got a lot to say about Shannon. She was a spoiled brat. You know what I'm saying? Her daddy died. His wife, you know, took all the money because he didn't put her in the wheel. And then she went to scamming and scheming against her brother, who, boom, dude from Vampire Diaries. I think that's where he's from. Then we got Claire. Claire was the baby mama that Charlie was messing with. And Claire didn't even want to have a baby. She was going to get a baby up for adoption before she ended up on the island. And then she went crazy. Or either she was on dog food just like Charlie. But nah, she was really just crazy. But anyway, we find out that Claire is actually Jack's sister. He didn't know that his daddy, you know what I'm saying, Christian Shepherd. Ain't that an interesting name? Christian Shepherd. He died at the very beginning of the show. You know what I'm saying? He's part of the whole reason they on the island. You know what I'm saying? And even he shows Jack where the water is. But anyway, he stepped out on his wife and had a secret baby in Australia. And this was the secret baby. It was Claire. Then we got Sun Hu Kwan. Did I say everybody are very flawed people? The reason why this lady can speak English and her husband don't know she can speak English is because she was cheating on this nigga with a Korean dude that spoke English and was gonna run away to America to flee from her father, who actually had him killed because her father was a big time gang lord in Korea. You know what I'm talking about? Ain't that interesting? You know what I'm talking about? Then we got my boy Desmond Hume. Now I like Desmond. Desmond in a lot of shows that I like. Desmond was stuck on the island for 3 years and pressing the button every hour and 40 minutes thinking that the whole world had ended and the only place was left was this island. Ain't he foolish? But the whole reason Desmond was on here because the woman he was in love with, her father, Charles Whitmore, set up everything to make this nigga end up on this island. Now we think that Charlie is the big bad of the show, and we find out that he's really not the big bad of the show. Charles Whitmore actually was a good guy. You know what I'm talking about? But we don't find that out till like season 5. But anyway, then you got Ana Lucia Cortez. Now, y'all know who she is. She played the same role in every show, every movie, Fast and Furious. I'm going to just say that. She's the same person in everything she's in. Then we got my boy Harold Perrineau. He plays Michael Dawson. Now, y'all know him from. Now, he's been in a lot of shows and a lot of movies. He really bossed up. But on this show, he plays a nigga who let his baby mama punk him for his kid. Like, not only did she take the kid and move out of the country, but she told the nigga, you know what, I'm getting married to somebody else, and I think it would be best if my son just didn't even know who you was. So you mean to tell me you're going to take this little dark-skinned boy and have this white man raise him and never explain to him who his daddy is and why he don't look like this white man or don't look mixed? And Michael just accepted that. Like, that couldn't be me. You don't never let a woman punk you for your son. Never. I never do that. Now, he got kicked off the show because he went into the office and demanded some better storylines because he felt like they were being racist in the way that they presented him, and said there was episodes where his only line was, "Where's my boy?" Did I mention that the others be stealing people's kids, be stealing babies? They stole that nigga's son. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? Let's get to Julia Burke. At first, I hated her. She's a doctor. She was helping people have babies because for some reason, the others could not have babies on this island. All the mothers would die before they give birth. And I think it had something to do when they poisoned these other people on the island. Whatever poison they let out, I think it led an infection on the island or a curse that made the women not be able to have kids. But anyway, she was brought to the island to try and fix that. And she was all lying, scheming, couldn't be trusted bastard at first too. But after she fell in love with James Sawyer and they ended up back in 1977, yeah, they went back in time, she became okay. Then we got my boy John Locke, the OG. I should have led with John Locke. Listen, when I watched this years ago, like I said, I thought he was the bad guy. And when I finished the show, I see why. Because the real bad guy took his body. You know what I'm talking about? But John Locke is really the OG of the show, the most gangster person on the show. He has a tragic story. I'm not gonna lie to you. I cried a few times watching this story. This nigga was put up for adoption. Then his crazy mama came back in his life to set him up so his daddy could con him and get his kidney and then leave him. Then his daddy pushed him out a window, broke his back. Then he ended up paralyzed. Then he on the island, him and Jack always going head to head because Jack's science and John Locke is a dreamer. And I'm a dreamer too. And a lot of times people don't believe in your dreams until they see it for themselves. And by then it is too late. And that's who John Locke was. They didn't realize the nigga was right until he was dead. I felt bad for him. And then his music they played in the back. John Locke was gangster. My nigga could hunt, fish, nigga could do anything. He got on the island, he could walk again. He didn't even tell these people. Now, let me stop down. That's one of my big issues. Why do people on these shows not tell people they secrets? Everybody want to hide something. Maybe if you would tell these people you was in a wheelchair on that airplane and they see you in the lobby and ever since you came to the island and hears you can walk, they might would have believed you, John Locke. They might would have believed you. But yeah, Jack was always hating on that nigga Locke. You know what I'm talking about? Then we got my boy Walt. Walt was the original magical Negro on the show. If y'all know about the Stephen King magical Negro trope, y'all know what I'm talking about. That's who Walt was. He started growing up too fast for the show, so they had to take him off because like a normal kid, the nigga started growing leaps and bounds a little too fast. He wasn't stuck the same height like Lil Bow Wow now for some reason. You know what I'm talking about? We got Libby, she was crazy. Charlotte Lewis, I don't really have no opinion. Darren Fayday. Penny Whitmore, that's the one who Desmond was in love with. You know what I'm saying? She never gave up on him. Love actually won in that situation. I like that. Then we got Richard Allaport, a nigga who was 200 some years old. He basically was Wolverine. He ended up on the island on a slave ship in the 1850s. You know what I'm talking about? And the only gift that he could get was an extended life so he could be basically like an apostle or a prophet for Jacob. I'll get to them in a second. You know what I'm talking about?
Do you have any idea how badly I want to kill you?
Yes.
One of these days, sooner or later, I'm going to find a loophole, my friend.
Well, when you do, I'll be right here.
I'll get to that. All right, so let me get to the meat and potatoes of the show. Listen, everybody on the show is very flawed. Very flawed. Nobody is a goody two shoes or a perfect person. Even though when you first watch it, you might assume that about a couple of people, namely Jack. You know what I'm saying? And Quan. You know what I'm saying? Naming the people like that, and you find out they're not. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, if I'm being honest, when I watched the show over time, I realized that Jack was a horrible person. Now I understand why he was a horrible person, and the show does a good job in it. They do a good job of redeeming certain people. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that as a kid, Jack's father was very hard on him because he wanted him to grow up to be a great surgeon, Jack never got past that. He always had that insecurity that he wasn't good enough or that he didn't have his father's approval. So he worked in the hospital in that manner, and he dated and married in that manner. Everything he did was a reflection of the way his father made him feel. But unbeknownst to him, his father was actually proud of him. His father was actually trying to help him. He just had a bad way of showing him. But anyway, the older he got, and when his father alcoholism went out of control, Jack helped push it even further. You know what I'm talking about? He helped push the alcoholism even further to the point that he lost his practice, lost his marriage, left the country, went somewhere and became such a bad drunk that he died. That was all Jack's fault. You know what I'm saying? Not giving his father a pass for drinking while doing surgery, but that was all Jack's fault. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Jack is not a goody two-shoes like we thought watching the show. Now, some of the other characters, like I said, with James Sawyer being a con man, that's immediately what you see. And then you find out that my boy Locke's dad was the real con artist. And con his father so bad that his father decided to kill it, do a murder-suicide with him and his wife. While James Sawyer was hiding up under the bed. I mean, his name is really James Samuel Sawyer. Is just the name he took because he took Locke's father's alias because he wanted to get back at him. But all throughout this show, you find that out. Like, even with Jacob, we find out that Jacob is supposed to be like, I guess he's supposed to be like the Jesus of this show. You know what I'm saying? The Judeo-Christian version, you know what I'm saying, of Jesus of the show. And then you find out that he's really responsible for the Black Smoke Monster. Like, he created him. You know what I'm saying? And as bad as the Black Smoke Monster was, and the fact, even with the fact that he took Locke's body, I hated that. Cause like I said, Locke's my favorite character. I love Locke. I cried with Locke. When Locke, listen, I feel Locke in my soul trying so hard and these people not listening to you and not believing you. And you can't don't tell me what I can't do. That's my boy Locke. But yeah, the Black Smoke Monster, his brother created him. You know what I'm saying? He created him. Now, I'm going to set you back. You know what I'm saying? Because I rewatched the show, and you might be rewatching the show. This might be your first time. If so, spoilers ahead. But anyway, this lady ended up on this island 2,000 years ago. She's pregnant. She has twins. A woman comes up to her and helps her give birth and then kill the lady and take the twins and raises the boys as their own. Now, the black smoke monster, which is Jacob's brother, we never get his name. We don't even know this nigga name. We just call the nigga the man in black. He can see dead people like Hugo. And he sees his mother, and his mother tells him, like, nigga, I'm your real mama. That broad, she killed me. That ain't your real mama. And we come from a land far from here. We came on a boat. Now, this other lady told that nigga it wasn't no other lands. And he found out that wasn't the truth when other men landed on the island. Now, she told him never trust people because people are deceitful, they're murderers, and they're selfish. She told him that. But he was like, I don't want to be on this island. I don't belong here, and you ain't my mama. And he tried to tell his brother we leaving. His brother decided, no, I'm going to stay. Even when he found out that that woman really did kill his real mama and that people did exist outside of this land. All because Jacob actually felt like he wasn't as much loved as the man in black. You know what I'm talking about? But anyway, the man in black left and went and lived with people, and he was going to find his way off. That's when the woman came and killed all of them. Knocked that nigga out and killed all the humans there. Which set him on his course, which made him kill the woman who had been pretending to be his mama. Now, when Jacob found this out, Jacob beat this nigga up, and because he couldn't kill him because of the magic on the island, he took him and threw him inside this tunnel with all his magical powers that killed him and turned him into the black smoke monster. Basically turned him into a demon. Now, tell me who was the bad guy in this situation. Now, I'm not giving the black smoke monster an excuse for all the people that he killed over the years after that, but I understand. I be understanding. You know what I'm talking about? But anyway, Jacob has been trying to prove to this man for the past 2,000 years that he's wrong about people being easily corruptible and people being naturally self-serving and selfish and things like that. So he's been bringing flawed people to the island to prove to him that if he bring them here with a fresh start, they can be something different than what they think they are for 2,000 years. I don't think that's the answer to you killing me, my nigga. But that's what Jacob been doing. And also, Jacob know he can't do this forever. He getting tired. He really don't want to live too much longer. He need a replacement. So that's why he bring the people on flight 815 Oceanic to the island to the island to find his replacement. So all these people end up on this island. I want to say 95% of them die on the island just so he can get his replacement, so he can have somebody protect the island after he killed his brother and turned him into a demon that could destroy the world, possibly. You know what I'm talking about? Jacob wasn't a good guy. He wasn't a good guy, and Jack wasn't either. Like I said, at the end of the day, John Locke was the good guy at the end of the day in this show. It was really John Locke, and it was really sad that the black smoke monster took his body and portrayed him the whole last season. I that ruffled my feathers. But anyway, I do like the character growth in this show. I do like how the people that you thought was the villains the first 2-3 seasons turned out not to really be the villains. They either became vague characters, or, you know, they were really allies, like Ben Limus at the end, like Charles Whitmore at the end. You know, you really find out it was more complex than you think. Now, let me get back to me saying that I hate that on these shows, just like in From, nobody tells anybody anything. Everybody want to keep secrets. Every time you ask somebody, "How after this, I'll tell you." You're not ready yet. Nigga, just tell me. We can put our minds together and figure this out. You know what I'm saying? We can put our minds together and figure this out. Now, at the end of this show, everybody came together after death. They met up in a church, in a meeting place. People met up with their soulmates and their true loves and people they lost on the island, and they all went to the afterlife together. I guess they all went to heaven together at the end. Everybody except for my nigga Michael. Because Michael killed 2 people to get his son. I didn't see Michael. Matter of fact, I didn't see the other black dude, Mr. Echo. I didn't see Mr. Echo, the other magical Negro on the show. Mr. Echo and Walt were the magical Negroes on the show. They was simply there to push the narrative forward. Just to be a Stephen King trope magical Negro. You know what I'm talking about? But I didn't see neither one of them in that church at the end of the show. You know what I'm saying? I did see Rose, the black lady, at the end. You know, she was married to the dentist. And I want to say they lived and died on the island. They wasn't ready to go. Matter of fact, she had cancer and the island cured her cancer. You know what I'm saying? So she was the only one that remembered John Locke was actually in a damn wheelchair before they got to the island. I think if more people knew that, they probably would have listened to John and believed it. But yeah, like, That's the best part of the show for me. It's really John. I could care less about Kate. I could care less about Jack. I could even care less about Charlie being on dog food. Junior lost.